Good night, Marcia. Good night, loyal opposition. Glad everybody's here tonight to have another constructive conversation. Well, essentially, it's allowing the government to intercept otherwise private conversations. There's still a lot of talk about whether WhatsApp would be included in this. I
Mm-hmm.
personally don't believe that any WhatsApp messages or calls would be included in this legislation. I'd find it hard to believe that Facebook, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg himself would sign off on something like that. Flow and Digicel will definitely have to comply with the Barbados laws. So any calls you place with your Flow Digicel, I definitely think those would be included. But I think you should still be okay on WhatsApp.
You
I think
know,
the worst part of it for me was just them admitting that the police have been doing it for years, illegally, and there not going to be any repercussions. There's not going to be any sanctions for that. And their justification for legalizing it now is that, oh, well, the police been doing it illegally anyway, so we may as well legally do it now.
yeah,
I just think that that is very callous and disrespectful to the people of Barbados. It is happening in quite a few other jurisdictions. America is famous for it. Right.
that's good.
So I get what you mean in the interest of national security. So that's just a very broad, vague term that they could use to intercept the organizers of this show, for example. I'm sure Mia Motley and the rest of the clones in there would really agree that this show is quote unquote against the interests of national security. This show brings to light many discrepancies and flaws that this government have, and they, as the government, might think that this show and any other similar programs are against national security. So that broad, vague language like national security is definitely a problem. Yeah, it definitely could. At the end of the day, national security could mean anything to the particular government official who is interpreting that at the time. Um, any minister who thinks that criticism of them is going to quote unquote bring up national security, they could use it. You can. It's going to be very very hard. Barbados already doesn't have an opposition as it is, and this, similar to the cybercrimes bill, is just another way to try to stamp out opposition. The government know full well that just by enacting the law, people are going to be a lot more silent. People are going to be on their toes a lot more. They're going to, as Brandon said, communicate just a lot less. They're going to be more cognizant about how they communicate, and all of this is an effort to, just stay um, in power as long as they humanly possibly can. This plus the cybercrimes bill, as you mentioned, Marcia, we've been talking about the cybercrimes bill for well over a year now. This is a very similar bill to that. Um, and wiretapping people without even a warrant, there's just no way to say that there can be any kind of pros to this situation. All we can come up with are cons. That this was the most insulting part. That we have a minister, a government saying, okay, yeah, the police have been doing this for years. Sure, it's sad, but we're not going to do anything about it. And we're going to justify it by legalizing it so that, in theory, most of the time, we'll have to have the Chief Justice or another judge authorize the wiretap. While we've been talking about, in theory and in practice, most of the time they won't even need a warrant to start the wiretap because of quote unquote national security. National security could have anything to do with guns, drugs, all the way to political opponents. So for them, just justifying the bill like this, I think is disappointing from Wilfred Abrams. And just the whole bill on a whole is disappointing. Well, not the whole bill on a whole, because they will be able to hopefully catch certain criminals with this. The biggest drug dealers, the biggest people pushing guns in the country, they're protected by these same politicians. So we're not even going after them. So the smaller fish that they claim that they're going to be able to catch by doing this, I really don't know. I really question it. Yeah, it is throwing a plaster onto a problem that a plaster really can't fix. It's an easy way to steer the narrative away from the actual crime problem itself. The government does many things but address the actual root causes of crime. So yeah, similar to tint, which is gonna have zero to no effect on crime. I really don't see how powerful this wiretapping is going to be to stop the crime. Because realistically, the most successful criminals in Barbados are paying the politicians, are paying the police. Wiretaps will never be applied to them. So the quality and caliber of criminal that you're looking to catch with these wiretaps, I don't know. I really just think it's going to come down to political opponents at the end of the day. I think that's going to be the most useful case of the wiretap. In theory, they're supposed to be even more so encrypted and secure than WhatsApp. I mean, none of us ever read the terms and conditions or whatnot or really understand, but in theory, my understanding is that Telegram is even more so secure than WhatsApp. I mean, it's just my opinion at the end of the day, but I do not believe that this bill, the scope of this bill, would include WhatsApp messaging. In regular wiretapping in America, it's just what you see on the movies. It's landlines. It's now evolved into cell phones, but via the mobile carrier. So in our instance, it would be Flow and Digicel. If this is a law in Barbados, Flow and Digicel are both Bajan companies. They're gonna have to comply with this law. But WhatsApp has nothing to do with Barbados. WhatsApp is online, owned by Mark Zuckerberg, owned by a company in America. So I would find it hard to believe that a company in America finds Mia Motley's pitch to them so compelling that they decide to allow the because at the end of the day, they more so care about shareholders and press. Suppose any of us on this call were to go to a journalist in America and say, "Hey, WhatsApp, which is supposed to be encrypted, it's supposed to be impossible for anybody to trace your conversations. The Barbados government is tracing it." So I don't think WhatsApp would risk everything they've built, Instagram, Facebook, all of their companies' platforms, for some bad press over Barbados. I don't think so. I think that they created an encrypted network to keep it encrypted. So I don't think that anything is going to break that.